Our mission is to identify the problems that we solve, okay? And then deliver those solutions to people looking for that solution. It's that simple. So when we think about it that way, we don't have to think about the matrix of marketing or understanding sales systems and all of that, because there are people that are ready and waiting to be able to get involved with someone who can take them to the next step. Right. And think about how many times you've just been stuck at like one thing. And then it's like somebody came through and like twisted a cog or like gave you one line answer. And then all of a sudden you're like, really? That was what was causing the congestion in my cabeza in my head. So my son has that feeling. He's 11.
Just looking for this dragon fight next month, but then I just watched a video, and the guy who I went into the house of when I first went to Drake Islands, the first time he said, "Get out of my house," but now he's not ready for visitors. But now when I go over there, he's like, here's the vial that makes you smell like a tyrant, so the dragon will come to you so you can fight it.
Gotcha.
Get out of
So
here."
he met a guy on his journey that had the answer to his a need. And when he got that answer, he was able to break through. And so when I designed this specific program, right now there's a viral trend that people are doing. Like, if I was a millionaire and I had to start my life over, this is what I'd do. Full transparency, I was a multimillionaire and I'm starting my life over coming out of a bad relationship that literally took away the infrastructure of my life because I submitted myself to the wrong partner. And I'm having to go through, reevaluate myself and rebuild my life on my purpose. And so I'm doing this program for you guys, but also for myself. And what I need to do first and foremost is skills training. I need to remember, what problems can I solve and what order do they go in, so that if somebody comes to me, I can walk them through every single one of these paths, these stepstones in the path, right? And so this is 90 skills in 90 days. Take care of it. Don't disrupt, take care of it, get your shoe or whatever. Um, and our goal here is to build something that pays without demanding your presence. I got sick in 2023. I got a head injury, traumatic brain injury, and I lost memory of every single thing that was going on. I couldn't walk. I had a herniated disc in my spine. I was in a wheelchair. And as an intellectual performer and as an athlete, my identity was rocked because I couldn't perform intellectually and I could not perform physically. And I had to trust my spirit. And so one of the biggest things for me when I developed Luxury Branding Academy was that a brand that operates without you is when you're operating in luxury. Okay. And so we want to build something that pays without demanding our presence, and our presence becomes the multiplier, not the mechanism. And so what I learned is that if I have a system that's in place that's always operating, when Megan shows up, that's when the spirit gets ignited and everything goes 10 times faster. So this is not a course. This is about a system. We're going to be implementing a system that is behaviors. I always say that I create success habitually, meaning with my habits. Every morning I wake up and I know what income producing activities to do. And I know what my daily, so that's income producing activities, and that's daily method of operation. Okay. Income producing activities and daily method of operation. And so every day I have my 60 minutes of power where I sit down, because I'm a busy lady. I fully, can you close this cabinet?
Yeah.
Okay. All cabinets, please. I fully operate my home. I homeschool my children. I'm breastfeeding a toddler. I am running my businesses. I have clients that I do deal with their financial portfolios. And my goal is to raise 10,000 businesses up on the blockchain. So I am a busy lady. Okay. And so I have to have that hour where I know exactly what I'm going to do and exactly who I'm going to connect with and exactly what I'm going to offer to move the needle along. That's not overwhelming me. Right. So what we're going to be entering, I call it La Boss. Luxury branding operating system is a 90-day skills-based activation where creators and entrepreneurs build wealth on social media while installing systems that run without constant presence. Each day unlocks one monetizable skill. Each week installs brand infrastructure, and each pillar compounds into long-term leverage. I'm going to explain this to you. Have you ever seen me post a status where I've asked you to drop a keyword? Like I say, hey guys, this is everything that happened. Can you please put this word in the comment? Okay. When I do that, I have systems that I have on my social media that if I say drop the word crypto, it will identify that that person commented the word crypto and it will automatically comment back to them and tell them to send me a keyword in my DMs, in my direct messages. When they send that keyword in my direct messages, I have a system that's very simple to set up that sends them a message that's triggered by that keyword, that sends them a message to join a Facebook group. In my Facebook group, when they join the Facebook group, they're to answer these questions. And there's 3 questions that they answer. 1 is how they got there. 2 is their email. And 3 is their phone number. And I have a system that when they enter these 3 pieces of data, okay, it triggers a text message and an email, and it admits them to the group where I have another robot that tags them in a presentation. Okay. And I'm going to teach you this, so you don't have to submit it to memory, but I'm showing you that once you get to the place where you know what problems you solve for profit, and we understand that there's a journey that somebody who we want to encounter wants to go through with us, we can automate the part where they're in discovery, right? So that they can go through the process of learning about who we are, how we work, how we operate, what we have to offer them. And it doesn't take us putting our presence 100% of the time. Okay. It allows us to have a system that will nurture them for us, because once they're in the community, guess what? The bot tags them in the presentation. I want you to write this down. Our goals are inviting and presenting, inviting and presenting. The person who has the most conversation wins. But that doesn't mean that it has to be you having the conversation, because it takes 7 to 11 contacts with someone, even if they really like you, because a lot of my people really like me and they really like to talk to me and they want to do that, but they can't do it because they're busy and they forget, or the thing didn't notify them or something. So, our follow-up system and our system that is those touch points of the 7 to 11 times, we build that into our system so that we're not letting anybody fall through the cracks. And we can also make sure that they're aware of us enough. And I'm going to go through something that's really important today when it comes to developing our truth here in a minute after we get through the housekeeping. But when people understand the value of what we're bringing to the table, and they're trying to bring belief system to the table, value is grounded in truth. Okay. And so it shatters inconsistent belief systems. And it's not from a perspective of violence or anything like that, but it's saying some people really believe like I can never be wealthy because I grew up poor, or I'm too old or too young to be wealthy. Ever since I was little, I started leading worship at church at 13 years old and speaking prophetic words over thousands of people. And God had to tell me, like, you're not too young. Your age does not disqualify you from my anointing over your life. I had to walk in that, and I had to figure that out at a young age. Okay. And so that goes for everybody in all generations. And so this is a system where every day you're going to learn how to implement those income producing activities and those daily method of operations to help activate a relationship with people who are searching for the solution that you offer because you solve problems for profit. That's what we're doing. So 90 skills, 90 days. That's enough. Take a pause. Spencer, that's enough. 90 skills, 90 days, 1 operating system. We're going to do a daily skills activation. So the first half of our session is going to look like education and layout, really kind of understanding what it is that we're going through, the mechanics of it and how to implement it. So that's like the first half is education and implementation. And then the second half is guided execution. So we're going to be going through, and actually you guys will have the prompts or you'll have the instructions, and we're going to be doing like a session where we're focusing the second half of class on getting that thing done. And so our goal with every day is that you guys come away with this with an asset for your brand. And that is what develops this momentum, kind of like a snowball rolling down a mountain. Okay. And that's our goal, is to have those assets. So there's 12 pillars that or 9 pillars that we're going to be focusing on. Each pillar gets 10 days. And so we have branding, marketing, messaging, community, launching, sales, freebies, offers, and automations. Okay. And so this was developed because I have had the privilege and the punishment. Spencer, you can still do what you're doing, but the water running and all the slamming of the cupboards and things like that, I don't want to deal with that in the background. Okay. Thank you. So this system is how we can, first we're going to attract. Okay. So branding is us putting our package together around us and our words that they showcase what it is that we do. Because like if somebody's sitting there and they're like, I don't know how to tie my shoes, so I can't go do everything else that I want to do, you have to be able to advertise yourself as a shoe tying professional. Does that make sense? Like you people have to clearly know, like if I go to this person, they're going to show me how to tie my shoes. Okay. That's how simple it is. And so branding is so important because it's not only about like graphics, it's not only about pictures and those things. It's literally about people being able to identify what it is that you are and what it is that you carry so that they know that you have the solution to their problem. Then there's marketing. And so a lot of people have a system, the baby, go check on her. A lot of people have a system for marketing that is based on, hard sells or hype or things like that. But what people really want is they want to know if you have the solution to their problem. Okay. And they really want to. So we use attraction marketing, which is truth based, because the truth, if you ever heard of the law of attraction, where they say like you hold the frequency of the thing, okay, literally, like this has a vibration that it's vibrating at. And if somebody knows, I love lamp, like that was a joke for, but they need a lamp. Hi, baby. Like you hold lamp, you take photo with lamp, and someone is shopping for lamp and they search lamp. Guess what? You're going to sell lamp. So attraction marketing is really like knowing that what your audience is looking for and knowing how to put those I call them truth triggers, which you guys are going to learn about during our marketing process. And the baby woke up. But you guys are going to learn about truth triggers once we have our truths identified. And let me see if I can scoot forward so I can eliminate this halo above my head. There we go. No, I don't. We'll just put this back. Find balance somehow, someday. I don't know if I'm gonna find balance. Spencer, is there 2 lights in there now? Okay, we'll just deal with it. So we have lamp, they're buying lamp and we're making sales. They're happy because they're well served, and we get to move on to the next thing. So attraction, taking the noise out of marketing and the backflips and the hot sales and all the things that get our heart racing and our dopamine up, but putting in truth allows us to operate in a brand that feels comfortable for us and it's authentic. So it's not work, right? You get up every day and you want to do your 60 minutes of power. You want to go through the process of sharing your solution because you're seeing people have a transformation right in front of you. And you don't have to be like a miracle worker. Like I just said, like some miracles, somebody just needs lamp. Okay. Like it's that simple. So when we're finding, some people need to tie shoes. My son learning right now, he's going to do focaccia bread. Like the focaccia bread lady on social media, she's going viral. Why? Because she's doing the one thing that she can do, which is I can make focaccia bread, right? So then once we go from marketing and attraction marketing, we go into messaging. Messaging is so important because you don't want to work with people who are operating through the illusion and ego. You want to work with people who are trying to develop more of themselves. Because when you deal with people who are trying to find the solution that you have to use for manipulation or leverage or things against other people or the 7 deadly sins, things like that, you become entwined in bad contractual agreements that don't reflect what your sole purpose really stands for. And so when we have messaging correct, it allows us to stay in alignment with our attraction marketing. It allows us to stay in alignment with our modern sustainable luxury branding. And then we're able to speak in a way that allows people to hear our truth. And that's the first 3 pillars. Then once we have those things nailed down, we go into community, because before anybody ever launches a product, you should launch a community. Okay. Because a community gives you a place of fellowship where you can do market research and really see like what are people interested in my area of expertise or in my place of service or in my place where I provide products. What are people talking about? What are they struggling with? What do they need as a solution? And so what I do is I teach you guys how to do what's called an ATM community, which is where we literally turn a Facebook group into a money printing machine. Okay. And that community is the place where I shared how the automations work to create this space at the beginning of this call to give you an example of a system that's operating without you having to be fully present. But that community is a place where we invite people to see presentations. And those presentations can look like a Zoom webinar. Those presentations can look like a pre-recorded video. Those presentations can look like a graphic or a blog post or a YouTube video. Those presentations can look like somebody else's testimonial of I got lamp. Lamp is in good quality and lamp makes me happy. And look how pretty it looks in my house. Okay. Like people want to see that stuff because that's like their Amazon reviews. And so what I do when I create my community is I create a container for fellowship, right? Where people can come together, they can check you out, they can see what you got going on, and they can decide if what you are offering is a good place for them without wasting a ton of their energy or your energy. And they're going to your community for answers instead of Google. Okay. Because Google doesn't know you and you don't know how to go submit all your information to Google the way you want, right? But you can do that with your community. And then the next thing is launching. People need to know how to launch. And one thing that I see and one solution that that people pay me a lot of money for, most of my clients that pay me 5 figures, they are stuck because they have an awesome product and they even have a good community, but they don't know how to do a proper launch. Because when you do a proper launch and every solution, like we talked about at the beginning, like we solve problems for profit. Okay. Whether that's a service that you're doing, a counseling, or you're selling lamp, you solve problems for profit. And if you're not launching every solution that you offer, you're leaving money on the table because that product didn't get the time to have its day in the light. And so what happens nowadays is because people are so engorged in that same feeling that I was when I was at my auntie's and she was giving me all the candy, people are consuming so much free content. They're buying all these courses. They're following all these people saying to do all this stuff. And that stuff's not working because those people don't actually have a system that works. Okay. And so when we launch, we get the opportunity to really educate our audience on what it is that we're offering. And then from there, they get to understand if it's a right fit for them or not, if it's the right lamp for them or not. Okay. So the launching is so important, but it's got a frequency as well. And so there's a crescendo and an identity that is installed during a launch that somebody gets to understand how your brand or your product and service can take them from where they're at to where they want to be. Okay. That's the roadmap. Now, from the launch, we have a sales system. Okay. I call it a sales engine. And inside that launch, as people are going and getting educated, there's culture being curated. The community's on fire because they're being fed resources. They're getting a revelation of what it is that you're sharing. Then we go into sales. And I don't like sales that feel yucky. Like for the longest time, struggled with selling because I felt like I was taking something from people. And I got a major correction about this when I was 23 years old. I'm 31 now. And it was that selling is actually one of the highest forms of service. Because if somebody, like my mom, I'll give you an example. She's 54 and she's been stuck for like 3 months because she wants these labels for her product she makes. And she's so stubborn. I made her a label and everything else or whatever, but it's not the one she wants. So she wants my dad to make the label. Well, my dad doesn't know how to use the tool to make the label. And so they've been in this circle for days. Now, if somebody came along and said, hey, here's your label, and they sat down with my mom and showed her how to make it and then went and got printed for her and she had her labels tomorrow, she'd be selling her products like hotcakes. Okay. And so selling is a service. And when you're willing to go and you have full integrity in the problems that you solve, and you're getting people that transformation that they're looking for. And like I said, it doesn't have to be like, I'm transforming your whole life and building your whole entire system in your head on how the whole universe works. But what I want you to understand is that there's a concept in psychology and it's about the house in someone's head and their heart. that you get to occupy in their mansion in their mind. Okay. And you can choose, and I'm going to challenge you guys with something that God revealed to me this last year. What does your love look like activated in somebody else's life? Love is an action word. And so what value can you add another being? And what value exchange is required in order for you to facilitate activating that love in their life? When I had the revelation, because like for me, it's like my heart really will see somebody going through something, or they're developing their brand, or I see a small business and it's like amazing business, but they just don't know certain things that I know. And I'm like, if I could just love you and your brand and show you how to navigate and activate what it is that I carry in my heart and my mind that I've developed, you would just have a huge breakthrough, right? But what I have to do is I have to pull myself back and say, okay, what value exchange would be fair for me to activate that in that person's mind? And the first step for that, our first offering that we make, comes back to our branding, marketing, and messaging, because I can tell that person, right, through the first moment that I meet them, a truth that will trigger them. I'll teach you the formula of influence in our session later, but a truth that will trigger them to want to have more of a revelation of what I'm capable of doing for them. And they may be willing to pay for that solution to be implemented in their life. And so that's why it's important to have our branding, our marketing, and our messaging in order, because when they go to our community and they're able to see how we've launched our different products in the conversations that are happening about them, then the sale is natural and easy. And what I do in the sales process is I incorporate freebies or low ticket products so that people can get into the process of momentum when it comes to payment, but they're also getting an offer that meets them where they are, that helps bring them to the next step. Okay, so am I breaking up at all? Because I see the camera kind of going in and out.
No, you're fine, clear, no breakup.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So freebies, and you'll have like seven-figure mentors. So 6 figures is 100,000, 7 figures is 1 million, and 8 figures is 10 million. From a 7 figure to an 8 figure mentor, they're gonna tell you to not do low ticket. Okay, they're gonna tell you if you're starting out, do high ticket, something, something, something. I disagree. Okay, I believe that our first offer that we put out there is our social media content, and it's free. Now, I can monetize any piece of social media content, and I've proven that over and over again with my viral funnels. But what I want you guys to understand is that offers don't just start. Okay, offers don't just start when you put together your $1,000 product or service. Offers start the first time that you open an opportunity for a conversation to be had, or an idea to be thought about what it is that you feel called to share. Okay. And so what I do is, once we've got these things all kind of mapped out, and they may be a little bit disjointed because I've shared about, the different elements of this system. What we do is, when we get to offers, we make it a cohesive ecosystem flow on what it looks like from that first touch point with somebody all the way to the life cycle of that customer inside of our organization, and what our goal is for them to be completely transformed within our ecosystem. And the thing is that this is about that person getting what they came for, and us to make that experience as smooth as possible and give them clarity. And what they're doing is they're establishing an identity that has an operating system in relationship to the problem that we solve for profit, so that the exchange of money is not even a thing. It's not, it makes sense for them to exchange the money, because what they're getting in return is so valuable that it's like it's worth spending that little bit that represents their time of their life. Does that make sense? Like, I really take it seriously when people pay me, because I know that that's time of their life that they've invested to get that money. But when this system is set up appropriately, I'm never going to feel bad about accepting consideration for the value that I'm giving them because I know the breakthrough that it's going to facilitate in their life. Okay. And so that's how you guys want to feel when you're introducing your ideal to them, right? Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that ideal could be you need to have lamps that are made out of like 100% cotton or something because of the flame aspect of whatever. Like it may be whatever thing that you're sharing with people, or it could be service providing. Like I just had a young gentleman, or not young gentleman, but he's 66, but I just helped him onboard and start a family trust. And when we were done doing his account, I explained to him like what this would look like to create something with him and his grandchildren if we just started them with $100 per account. And I built it all out, and he got to see his family in the next few years become millionaires through that example, right? And that was a worthy ideal for him to sow a seed in the now because there was a clear path to get to that result. Okay. And then the last step of this loop, okay, is to automate everything. And so the one thing that saved me when I went through my accident was that I had these automations in place so that I could post those when I knew the story that I wanted to have people walk through for the next 12 months, right? And I'm going to teach you guys how to do 365 days of content, and you're going to be like, whoa, and it's not hard, okay? Because we break the year up to 12 pillars. And then there's 12 building blocks that take people through the progressive realization of the worthy ideal that is the solution to their problem that we're solving for profit. Okay. And so when we automate things like that keyword post that I was talking about, we know, and then we systemize how our month works with our sales system. So, I have a sales system that does ebook week 1, free masterclass week 2, 5-day challenge week 3, right? So they're all coming to paid event where they're going to learn how to do the transformation swiftly. And then the last week we may introduce like a course where people can get involved. And this is like the onboarding and closing for the course. So every month I may be running these 4 pillars on each week. And then I might be doing it from a different angle, but they all go back to the same high ticket course. Does that make sense? And then each angle for the month is about one of the pillars, just like these are all different pillars. Okay. So do you see how we can compress time into a system by breaking up our overarching offer or overarching solution down into things that are bite-sized pieces like categories or skills? Okay. And then we can make offers throughout time that help people have a bigger revelation, right? And there's going to be people who every month they're going to come get your free ebook, okay? Because they can't afford to get involved or they don't know you enough yet. They're just nurture. They're going to come every month and they're going to go to Costco and get your free sample, okay? But eventually they're going to come and purchase from you. They will, because they trust you. You got to understand there's a value exchange that's happening every time. So each day runs education, implementation. We have strategic instruction, clear standards, no motivational talk. I'm just going to give it to you. Every once in a while, I'm inspired to share a story to help you guys get the ideal a little bit better. But for the most part, I just want us to get straight to work. And then we're going to do live execution, asset building, and system installation. If there's no asset, the day is incomplete. I don't want us to have to do a bunch of rah-rah cheerleading stuff for this. That's going to come when we do the 90-day power play after this 90 days, where we're going to be implementing this system and actually getting this baby running full force. I will be cheering you on and I'm going to be whooping you from the sidelines. Okay. Cause that's the kind of coach that I am, but we are a championship team. Okay. And we're going to get that result, every single one of you. So this is for you. If you want the income that doesn't rely on constant posting, you want systems instead of hustle, you want your brand to function like an asset. This is the most important part. Everyone thinks that more income is the goal. But actually the goal is income producing assets. We want assets that cash flow for us. And so far, based on what I've shared with you this meeting, do you feel like this meeting is going to be something that is operating as an asset that produces cash flow for you? Or does it sound like something you got to go whip every day to get the job done? It sounds like an asset that's going to go cash flow for you and it's going to go work for you. Once you get the clarity in place and you got your pillars built out and your systems and automations are running, it's going to be something that you can turn on and you can show up when you're scheduled to in your own agreements with yourself, but the system's going to run without you having to whip it like a horse. Okay. You want your brand to function like an asset. You want value, precision, clarity, and ownership. Luxury for me is not an aesthetic. Luxury is how little effort something requires to work. Okay. Because I've thought it through front to back. And I know that when I turn it on, Nahush, you're an engineer, you know this. Once you've evaluated everything, you've turned it on, that it's going to run. All right. So the 90-day activation cycle, LBOS runs in 9 focus pillars. Each pillar lasts 10 days. Each pillar installs a system that functions independently. It's not progression for motivation. This is progression for infrastructure. I'm teaching you guys how big brands are built from the foundation. Because when you're looking at a graphic on Pinterest or some influencer on social media that's saying, I just made $90,000 in a weekend, like myself, sometimes I'd be sharing that stuff with you. You don't understand the curation of how that event happens. It's kind of like throwing a birthday party for a kid. It takes a lot of coordination and organization. It's like throwing a wedding. Okay. You got to have a bunch of different skills involved to create that final result. That's why I'm doing this with you guys. I'm giving you concentrated, direct instructions each day for you to activate these in your awareness, so that when you're shopping in your mind, you've got an idea and you want to bring it to life, you have the tools, the resources, and even how to develop the asset to get that puppy off the ground. And if you listen to me, you're going to learn how to scale it as well. So each day, we have different things that we're working through. Daily skills unlocked for branding, brand truth and positioning, authority differentiation, luxury brand language, market placement, brand narrative, visual and verbal coherence, credibility signals, brand strength, brand clarity audit, and brand asset finalization. If you guys don't have this website, I'm going to send it to you so you can read this, because I don't want to read every single one, because that's going to be 90 sentences. Okay. So I'm going to, whoa, buddy, add more flour. Is that what you're asking? 1 second. He's having a doughboy pot. He needs. We're going to take a 5-second break so I can get him the flour, because his dough is a little wet, and I'm going to put the sleeping baby on the bed. All right. So give me 1 second and I'll be right back.
Oh, she's back. Hey,
Hey guys, sorry, I looked like everything needed to take a break, including my computer at that time. Can you guys see the screen okay? Yes, no, maybe so. 111 in the chat. I haven't done any of the calls to the chat yet, so let me know if you can see the screen okay. Boop, 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 boop. All righty, I'm just gonna keep going because I can't see. I can't hear or see anybody. Can you guys hear and see me? Yes, okay. Okay. I think that's good. All right, so I'm gonna send you guys this link. And by the way, you're gonna learn how to do this. So this is a Canva code website. Okay. And this is the hottest thing that I have played with this year so far, because I have the ability to manifest certain assets really swiftly and give you guys a visual that's nice to consume. It's on brand. And I prompted this. I built my program out. I fed my program to ChatGPT, and then I asked ChatGPT to write me a prompt for Canva. And then I went to Canva, I gave it the prompt, and then it built this out in Canva code. And I'm going to teach you guys how to do that, because imagine being able to, we were talking about the sales system and freebies, right? imagine being able to just create a freebie once you have that clarity, like that truth light bulb. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then you're able to just take that, run to ChatGPT, get it to flesh that idea out for you in an organized fashion, and then create a prompt for Canva code to have an asset like this in 5 minutes. Okay. And it's not about, like, for me, I don't let AI use my brain and tell my brain what to do. Like, I have a big brain, and these AI lets me to express it in a way that a normal everyday person can consume my content. Does that make sense for you guys? You can talk about why or yes in the chat. But I just dropped the link in the group chat for you, and I'm going to go ahead and get you that in your inboxes after class as well. And you guys can go through each of these pillars and see what each day consists of. But build something that pays without demanding your presence. Your presence becomes the multiplier, not the mechanism. All right. You need a mechanism that's operating for you. Okay. And this system is the mechanism. What you are is the multiplier. And when you show up, that's when people get excited, because the frequency that you carry, the truth that you carry, activates the point of resonance in them, and you become the multiplier. All right. So this is the luxury brand operating system. We're going to be going over this the next 90 days. So this is rooted in a program that I developed called the 90-day power play. And I started doing the 90-day power play when I was in network marketing. And it was because I realized that when I was onboarding new people, they really needed to have they needed to be conditioned to understand those daily method of operations and those income producing activities that you do every day to create a successful business that cash flows for you all year round. Okay. As you can tell, every sentence that I say is probably like a mental exercise for you to listen to, because I'm speaking a language that in my head, it's how I just operate every day. But when you come into business, you have to condition yourself, meaning you have to get in shape, and you have to get in the shape of your luxury brand self, your higher self. We're meeting that person. Okay. From where we are right now to where we want to be. Higher self is right here, kind of like guiding you along the way. And your job is to like condition yourself to do the work, to do the push-ups, to do the reps, to get yourself to where you're able to be in a habit of being successful every day. Okay. And so it takes up time. And what I want to share with you guys today is how I develop my value system and how I break through my audience's illusion system that they're operating on, their belief system. Okay. And so this presentation is called The Crucible of Truth. So this is a quote. It says, "It's all fallen apart. Everything I was so sure of, it feels like I was looking into a mirror of my life, and it just shattered. The pieces were on the floor, and none of it reflected who I thought I was." Because a lot of us are in our head, one person, but in our life, another person. I know for me, the last 2 years, I was as hot physically as I was before my head injury in my head. And little did I know that I was getting really chubby. Okay. So just to tell you, like an example, it took me like coming to that truth moment and being like, okay, Meg, it's time to, for me, it was being willing to go through more pain, because I had gone through a lot of pain with my injury and my head injury. And then the way that people treated me when I was going through that process, I had to be willing to go through a pain that was a productive pain to condition my body, to condition my mind, to settle and heal my spirit, because my spirit was broken. Okay. I was really, really sad when I went through this last few years, but I had to sit with myself with compassion. I had to acknowledge where I really was. And then I took myself through the transformation. And once I experienced the pain of transformation, it was one time instead of every day where I was suffering myself and not willing to make those decisions. But that illusion that I wasn't sick or that I was still my old self had to fall away. Okay. And so I went through this process where I didn't know what to believe anymore about myself, because I had compromised myself. I had betrayed myself to be with my partner. I had compromised my my foundational character because we were unequally yoked. And so the version of myself that I was at that time, in order to, it's called a people pleaser in plain English. Okay, I was people pleasing. And when you people please, you develop a fraudulent personality. Okay, just straight up. And so what I had to do was I had to adjust and reflect on myself and realized that if I want to be the person that I'm called to be and that I'm anointed to be, that does major impact and encounter and changes and transforms hundreds of thousands of people's lives in my lifetime, I have to go back to the full, pure, gold, refined version of myself. And I can't compromise just to have relationship with people who don't understand what I carry and don't know how to value it. And so I had to shatter my own mirror. I had to shatter the reflection of the illusion in myself that I created. And I had to look at my reality and myself. And I had to say, okay, are you ready to get back in shape? Are you ready to truly be her and release all of these things that you invested in and that you thought was the right thing and that you were compromising for the sake of connection and community and what we were building, and be willing to just, the Bible said there's a time to build and a time to destroy. Okay. Are you willing to burn certain things down so that you can plant a new crop and have the nutrients in the soil? And so when the mirror breaks and the reflection is lost, but was the reflection the substance, or was it the one being reflected? The image is gone, but you are still here. Okay. And so you guys have to understand that the truth that you are and the truth of what you carry is what we can develop out into your luxury brand. Okay. It's what we have to share from inside of you into the world. And the foundation, and I do want to say this. Some of the things that you might be led to share are things that I'm sharing with you right now. And so you may be thinking like, I don't know, Megan, like what I could possibly like share that's on the gravity that you are sharing right now. And it's like, it could be something that you have a revelation about during this program. And so you may be mining that or refining that out inside of you right now, as well as you're listening to me and as we go through this. So what happened is the foundation was made of sand. Perhaps the problem that you believed and that you were building on the belief of in the first place was a belief that wasn't founded or grounded in truth. And so beliefs are intangible and they exist in our mind. And the foundation of intangible things will eventually give way. Will it not? Because it's not something that can be found in truth. Okay. And so truth has substance. And when we're building our brand, we don't want to build our brand on sand, meaning we don't want to build on something that we think we know. We want to build it on something that we've embodied. And embodied means like, if I go sit on a bike, I can ride it. Okay. If I go to tie my shoe, I can tie it. And that it's not, oh, like if I looked at something, I think, oh, I can probably do that. Like my son, he's back here. He's 11 years old. He's gonna make a pizza dough, a dough for his focaccia bread right now. He's gonna make his focaccia bread dough. He knows how to do dough. Okay. But it took a long time of putting his hands in the flour and the water and the yeast to figure out what it takes to make a good dough. Does that make sense to everybody? So I want to talk to you guys about truth because this is our first lesson for our brand. Truth is substance. It has weight and it has form. Much like a stone or a piece of wood, because it has substance, it expresses its nature in consistent. Okay, I'm back, guys. I'm going to share again, but I just want, I don't know why it's cutting out. Let me know when I'm back online for you. Can you just drop a yes if you can see me in the chat? Thank you. Okay, great. So when we're going through the process of trying to figure out, like, Megan, I don't know what problems that I solve for profit. I want you to look at what has manifested in your life. Like when I say manifest, I'm not talking about some woo-woo, sit down, concentrate, and try to have some magical unicorn show up in your yard that's never going to. Okay. I want you to understand that and how God brought me this revelation. What I'm teaching you right now is not something that somebody else gave to me. I was sitting down and I was like, okay, if God is everything, then what is the nature of God? And God told me, he's like, it's my creation, and my creation has a system in which it operates. And God, they said that God, the Bible says that God is not a man that he shall lie, The Bible says that the truth, the substance of the nature of God is consistent. And so I looked deeper in that in myself, and I looked at reality and what I build with. And this was a revelation that I received. The order, okay, it organizes what is chaotic. So your truth, when you look at your reality, and if you're willing to face your reality and you apply what you know to be true to it, it's going to tell you what to do and what not to do. Okay. If you guys see fire and you have a hand, you know not to touch the fire because it's going to burn you, right? That's how pure our truth is. It has law. It operates with perfect consistency, meaning that there's an order and a law in which that thing operates. It has a property. And so there's a gemstone here, right? Because when you look at different like diamonds and crystals and gold is soft, right? Diamonds are hard. It's just the fact about it. And if we want to talk about actually building wealth and bringing wealth into our reality and having something that's luxury and having a reality that we run, we have to be truthful to ourselves. Okay. Then it has a pattern. It repeats itself because it's reliable. Okay. It has principle. It works even if you don't acknowledge it. Okay. Wait, it carries real consequence. So if you are to be aware of something and then you ignore it and it's real, there's going to be consequences or there's going to be rewards based on the nature of that thing. Does that make sense to everybody? Type a Y or a yes in the chat. Okay. And then lastly, light. It reveals what was hidden in the darkness, because you can have somebody who's sitting there saying all this stuff about stuff. But when you have somebody who genuinely knows what they're doing and they're embodying it, oftentimes that person doesn't have to say a word, but you can observe them and see that that truth is active in their reality. Okay. And so when it comes to, me as somebody, let's say I'm a musician. Okay. I play guitar. If I pick up a guitar and I can strum my guitar and produce a song, clearly I'm a guitarist this is, I know this is like so simple to you probably, but this is what different right now. Brands and businesses have been going out of business since 2020. Okay. People don't know how to adapt to the online space, and pretty soon they're going to have to adapt to the blockchain space. There is no competition out there, even if you feel like you're at the beginning of the conversation. I was talking about ate too many sweets at a camping trip and now you don't want any candy bars. And that's why we're talking about truth instead of illusion and beliefs and hypes and all that stuff. If you can understand about being a laser of truth in the market right now, you're going to create a flood for yourself because people are ready for transformation. They don't care if it's something as small as tying your shoes or I love lamp. Okay. Once they realize the truth that you carry and we put that laser in the right place, in the right niche in the algorithm, your brand's going to blow up. It's just how it works. Okay. There's no competition. So what we're talking about here is we're converting a belief system, which is core question. What do I think about a thing? Okay. So your audience right now is sitting and saying, this is what I think about a thing. It's your job to convey to them what something is worth. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. If a silversmith comes and sees a block of silver, okay, but you bought silver because somebody told you it would be a good investment. So you're holding a brick of silver and you can't do shit all with it, but have it, hold it, and resell it. Okay. But a silversmith sees it and they're like, I can turn that into microchips for a cell phone. Right. And so in order for you to convey the value that you understand that something is worth to your audience, that's what breaks them out of their belief system. And that's what converts them to wanting to transact with you because they want to understand what you value and why you value it. That's the conversion that's happening. So a belief system is fragile, easily broken. It's an idea that you hold on to. So a lot of times it's sentimental and emotional. It's not grounded in logic or truth. Okay. Like I had dealt with poor dental hygiene because as a young adult, because I was terrified of the dentist as a child. So I wouldn't go to the dentist when I had a tooth that was calcified and started crumbling because I was scared of the dentist without my mom as a 20-year-old. Okay. You have to grow up eventually. Okay. So I had to get real with myself and be willing to go and face certain fears because though they were grounded in emotion, and I had to shift and be willing to honor reality and take care of myself. Okay. And it's up to us to introduce ideas and concepts with people that helps them go through the revelation process, which I'm going to teach you the formula of influence in our next class, to bring them to a reality that they honor, okay, that they honor, that they respect the order, the law, the pattern, the principle, the weight, and the light, okay? Because when we can understand the order in which things manifest, and we know that when you're baking, you put the butter and the sugar together. Like, how many of us know how to make a chocolate chip cookie? We always put the butter and the sugar and we cream it, right? There's an order in which there's an order in which we do things. And so that's where we're developing a value system that leads to a clear hierarchy. Does that make sense to everybody? Top a wire, yes, in the chat, if that makes sense. No, if you have any questions. Because I want us to differentiate today between a belief system and a value system. And I want you to understand how we're going to penetrate the markets, because a lot of people are operating in belief and we want to convert them into having a value system. Because when you guys start creating relationships and coupling with people, you will not have conflict with people that you share the same values, because they're not going to sacrifice the result that they're there to get in it when it comes to their emotions. Like, if somebody's there because of a belief and that's their identity and they're attached to that from an ego perspective, and so they're going to tear shit apart to defend their belief and their identity and their ego, versus somebody who understands the property of something, the principle of something, the order. They're not going to put their ego or their emotion before what they know is required in order to get the result, because they've done an evaluation and they've secured the value and the position. They're not going to sacrifice that because they understand what it costs to lose. Okay. And so that's the architecture of value that I want you guys to understand as your foundational principle in this program. Okay. This is the hierarchy. It's a complete system from recognition to reality. So when something comes into your life, like this program today, okay, and it's about understanding what it's worth. Okay. So you could have been trying to build a brand or trying to do business online for the longest time. You couldn't figure out why things weren't working for you. And it's because you didn't understand what value was in the concept of developing a brand to build wealth on social media. So you didn't understand what it cost to not take action. You just stayed frozen because you had beliefs about it that were associated with an identity, but nothing that was grounded in truth. All right. And so just like the silver that we talked about, if somebody's holding it, like, this is what it's worth to me, and this is what it costs to lose it. That's the baseline foundation. It's pretty much the God-given intrinsic value of something it's worth. Okay. Now, a value is what is honored about that thing. So we've got our worth, right? That's our starting point. And then the second layer of that is our value. So when we have a $50 piece of silver and we've given it a value at $50, we know whether it increases or decreases in value, and we're honoring that. And there's an exchange rate there. The next layer is values. And this is what governs decisions. Okay. So when we are making decisions about a thing and we're aware of what's honored about that thing, and we're aware of what it costs to lose it, we can take certain actions or we won't take certain actions based on that thing. The principle of the thing. What are those principles? It's these things. Okay. So our order, law, pattern, principle, weight, light. All right. You guys look at these slides so you know how to memorize everything. And then the last thing, how many of you guys have heard the saying, patience is a virtue? Patience is a virtue. Okay. Because it's something that is exercised. So patience is a virtue because you understand the value. Which part, girly? The part about the values? I just saw that come through, so I don't want to.
No, it was, it's fine. But if you don't remember, it's fine. My baby was crying, but it was before you, after you asked us, that we understand. I missed that, what you were
Okay.
saying.
No problem.
If you don't remember, it's fine.
No problem. So what I was talking about was when we build a value system instead of a belief system, it's about what governs our decision in relationship to something. So an example would be, I'm going to be teaching you guys something called 60 minutes of power. Okay. And it's where you sit down for an hour and you focus on your daily methods of operation and your income producing activities. And that's what's going to be what moves your business along every day as a small business owner, becoming a CEO of a luxury brand. Okay. And so when you understand what it's worth, meaning like every day you may be converting like $300 or $3,000 or $30,000 in your business because you do your 60 minutes of power. And when you go through the value of it, you understand that I honor this time and space in my day because of the result that it gives me. Like me right now, I'm honoring my diet because of the result that it's giving me, even though I could be doing other things, right? And because of the values that I have for it. So I know that when I eat my way that I eat, I've developed like certain systems of truth. So I've given it a value of like, okay, this is helping my liver. It's helping me lose weight. It's helping my mental clarity. It's helping this thing. So I have a list of values that I've assigned to this item that has worth. Okay. And so back to this example that I was about to give about patience is a virtue because when you exercise patience, it holds space for the worth to be revealed instead of us blowing it up with our ego, blowing it up with our emotions, blowing it up with how we feel about a thing, right? So what I was talking about, Rafaela, is that when we understand the weight that something carries, we're going to put forward patience and we're going to put forward understanding instead of anger or discontentment or behaviors that don't align with understanding the power of something and what it's worth. And so that's the journey that you guys are be taking as you're developing out your brand. It's going to be understanding why you're doing something that you're doing, because the result may not be the first day that you do it, but because you created something that's compounding every day, by the time you look back in 90 days, you're going to be like, wow, I own a huge asset. Okay. That's actually given me a way to express myself because I've architected out how value works in my life. And that's the system of value. Okay. So the crucible of truth, and I've been kind of referencing this example as I've been talking, but imagine a silversmith. He places raw, pure silver into a crucible, which is this little hot thing right here, and it sets it into the heart of a fire. The purpose of this intense heat is not to destroy the silver, okay, but to remove what does not belong in its nature, the dross, the impurities, and the distortions. So at the beginning of this class, what I was talking about was that everyone out in the market right now is like engorged on illusion, and they're stuck in these hyped up, not realistic processes for something that's really simple, because there's like a marketing pandemic going on right now. Okay. People understand they can market, sell, close, and they're not teaching people how to transform. And so that's the dross. And when we burn the dross, when we put it into the fire, the heat, and heat is friction. And so when you're in friction, meaning you're utilizing the value system and you're developing why you value and what you're going to honor about it. So you're not making the other decision because the decision you do make has to honor it. And the reason why you made that decision is because you have a value that you understand. Like me, if I break my ketogenic diet, I'm going to have an insulin spike, which is going to cause me to retain water. And then I'm going to revert the results that I'm getting. So I'm going to make a decision to not do that so that I'm not getting inflamed because I'm trying to work on my inflammation. Right. And so my virtue actually is that I am losing weight and I am becoming well. Right. Do we understand this development process? So when we say patience is a virtue and we're purifying ourselves and we're going through our process and we're developing out the solutions that we offer our audience, the value determines what needs to be attended to and what can fall away. And it's a refining process. Okay. And your brand experience that you want to bring to people is something that is pure, it's simple, it's sustainable, it's timeless. I use the word modern because I like that, but really it's timeless because it's grounded in truth. So it's always going to work. You know, business people will tell you, go get a boring business. Why? Because you're always going to need the boring business like accounting. Okay. So those things are timeless. And the process that we're going through is restoration, not alienation. Okay. And so when we're bringing people, this is a part of the formula of influence that I was talking about earlier. So the formula of influence is truth, revelation, conviction, and change. Okay, so the first phase is truth. And we just kind of shared a long journey of how to identify and really get down to the root of truth, right? Because it's not what I think I know, it's what I know I know. It's not what I think I can do, it's what I actually do. Okay. But the second phase of that is when somebody encounters truth, they have a revelation because that's what truth does, is it creates an aha moment. And so I actually relate this to our brainwaves. Because when we have a revelation about something, we enter a state called theta in our mind, which is it's a little children's state of mind, and where we're open to infinite possibility, and ego is down because we don't have any preconceived thought about a thing, and we're in a place of curiosity. The Bible says to be like little children to enter the kingdom of heaven. This is the state of mind that Jesus was referring to when he said that. The revelation state, the aha, wow, God, because God is creation, right? All of it. And so when people encounter your truth and you're expressing that, they're encountering the God in you. And they're like, wow, I want to know more. And in that moment of revelation, it's up to you to implement the light and the process that they want to know more about. That's the law, the order, the patterns, the principles, the weight, the light. Okay, that people are looking for to know more about that aha moment. And so that revelation, you can curate the revelation so that they can understand and become rooted in more layers of truth. But then here comes the next part. So once you know better, you have to do better. Once you figure out that you cannot have unlimited amounts of sugar, even though it tastes really good, even though it feels really good, even though it makes me happy, because it's doing certain things to your body, and you find that aha moment that helps you, that truth trigger that helps you pop out of that illusion of happiness and realize, oh, I have to change this. First of all, that's heavy. And some of you guys are heavy people. And I mean from a truth carrying perspective. When you carry a lot of truth, you can be an abrasive person to some people. You can be a heavy person to encounter. You can be somebody that feels intimidating to people. And I want to give you full permission to understand that it's okay to be that. Because what you carry is a correction for people. If they're walking in a whole identity that's built on falsification, distortion, okay, and you come along and bring them clarity, it's like getting your back adjusted by a chiropractor, okay? Nobody complains on the other side of that. And so people will go from revelation to conviction because there's an alignment pressure that happens. They're like, oh my God, the version of me that I want to become or that I'm working towards now knows this truth, now has a solution, and it's time for me to make the adjustment because I now have a value system that I can install. because you flesh that value system out for them because you already know the worth of something. You know the consequence of not utilizing that worth, and you feel like it's a worthy ideal to progressively expand upon. And so you've implemented it in your life. You're sharing that with other people. That's your solution that you're solving their problems for profit for. And when they're conviction, now you offer them the roadmap of change. Okay. And so I hate to break it to you, but I'm happy to bring it to you. You don't change anybody's life. I don't change anybody's life. But the encounter with me, carrying truth, allows them to have a reflection that they can resonate with, that allows them to have a revelation about themselves. And I want you to understand that this gives your audience full permission to be themselves, to align with you. And it's not your responsibility what they do with that. So you can share them the truth, you can share them the process, you can share them the product. But if they have this conviction and this revelation, it's up to them to change. And if you do it this way instead of manipulating them, which is what the hype marketing and the sales calls and all the things do, then they'll make the decision to change on their own. And it feels good for everyone involved. And change becomes a requirement of integrity. Okay. So I know that that was a bit of a heavy presentation because truth is heavy. All right. Truth is heavy, but the result is in the right order because we're actually here to help people realign and get the result and actually impact people's lives. And when we're operating in this way, it means that your life mattered here on this planet. Like you can see that result in reality. And when I tell you, as somebody who has dedicated the last 11 years of my life to doing this, nothing beats like having those miracles that you've been able to figure out how they work. And then you see somebody in a struggling situation. Thank you for your patience. Okay, I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so sorry. And thank you for your patience with the Wi-Fi. We're going to get it fixed over the next few days, but I'm doing the best I can right now. So, in the Bible, it talks about putting on your breastplate of righteousness and picking up your sword of truth. Okay. Spencer, pause, please. So I have a tattoo on my leg that says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything that you do flows from it. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. We express from our heart and we process from our mind. And when those two things are in order, we get the goosebump feeling because there's coherence and we can begin to manifest. And so it's important for us to understand that our truth and our heart posture, meaning operating in righteousness and truth, is what is going to allow us to All right, I'm back. Forgive me, guys. It's almost done. So result in the right order. This internal realignment is called righteousness, not moral perfection, but it's simply the right order. And that's it's not moral perfection because sometimes you're going to be called to break the norm. You're going to be called to break the mold. And sometimes that breaker, I talked about that at the beginning of this call, sometimes the breaker in you is what's going to set the new standard. And I know for me, that's what happened when I went viral on TikTok. Okay. And so the ancients spoke of the breastplate of righteousness to protect the heart. This is your center of valuation. Remember, we talked about back here our value system. And so in our heart, we make an evaluation, and that is where we're testing. When I say test the spirit, our mind is observing and it's thinking about all the things that could happen, but it's being tied and anchored into our value in our heart, which is why we do the right thing in the right order, righteousness. Okay. And so when we're putting together our product, we teach the right thing in the right order. Now, your first go around, I always say beta now, better later. Fine for now, beta now, better later. When we first start, we're not going to remember everything. Okay. But the best thing to do is to do the thing that you're wanting to teach or develop into a product. And then you're going to remember, like, if I was doing a video on how to shoot a masterclass from your smartphone in 30 minutes, right? And then I go through all the process of how to do the masterclass on the smartphone. Some people might say, like, just teach them how to set up the phone and then teach them how to teach. Some people, the next masterclass version of that call might be, here's how to set up the phone. Here's how you write the script. Here's how you do here, and then here's how to write the script. Okay, for the live. The next masterclass version of that could be, here's how to set up the phone. Here's how to write the script live. Here's how to do the sales presentation or the presentation. And then the last one could be part 4. Here's the evolved version of this. Here's how to set up the phone. Here's how to write the script for what I'm saying. Here's how to do the presentation. And here's how to make an offer at the end. Does everybody see that value system of scale, that like the first time it's about getting that out there and really saying like how to make a masterclass, right? And then you go and do a masterclass on how to make a masterclass. But then the next phase is like evolving that how to. And then pretty soon that becomes an ecosystem of products, or a part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 of that product. Does that make sense to everybody? So it's about the progressive realization of that worthy ideal. It's about understanding what goes in the right order. It's about actually doing the action and then observing yourself, knowing what actions need to be put into your product so that your product creates transformation. Because we're here for truth and transformation. Okay? Truth, transformation. Truth transforms. The truth transforms. All right? And so once we get this system established, then we have an unbreakable chain of outcomes. I'm almost done. Somehow I always have the longest class on the face of the planet. I usually, like, I'm trying, guys. I was trying to be under an hour. We're like at an hour and 20. Unbreakable chain of outcomes. So a heart aligned with truth allows for clear thoughts. Okay? Because if we're not in our ego and in our emotions and we're in our belief system, which is a lot of stuff up here, we're not being heart led. Okay, where our soul lives. So we're not putting the kingdom of heaven first. We're putting our kingdom of we live life first. And some of us have been traumatized. So we're building from trauma. We're not building a life that's alignment with our highest self. Okay. And so when we have our heart aligned with our truth, and we know that we've taken time to pre-evaluate what our truth is, then we can reflect on that, have clear thoughts, and make principled choices. Okay. Which allows for us to create constructive patterns, because I'm doing a nurturing moment. Is everyone here? Please close these cupboards behind me. I should not have to look at that. Is everyone here? Is everyone here with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're here.
This is the most important thing that I could share with you. If you understand the nature of the truth that you carry, meaning when you have the nature of something and the way that it expresses itself and its principles, you can curate magnificent things by understanding how to call on things or implement things in the right order. Okay. And so this is not about persuasion. It's about encounter. It's about putting things in your product system that will allow for people to encounter your truth that you carry. And once they have a revelation about you, they want to know more. They want to do more. All right. And this baby is not happy to sleep by herself. So I just wanted to share that principled choices is such a hot phrase for me. It's fuego. Okay. Because if you're curating something based on the principle of the thing and the nature in which it's going to express itself, and then you add the next thing that's going to express We're just gonna rock with the internet today, guys. I'll promise. I'm working on fixing it as fast as I can. I just literally finalized my lease on Saturday and moved in, and then today I had to finish some administration, so I didn't have time to do the Wi-Fi and stuff, but we're gonna Spencer, I'm still looking at this open coven right here. So principled choices, like in trust, I'm gonna give you an idea, right? So in trust, people always want to talk about being sovereign and like they can do all the things, but it's like what you're actually supposed to do is deploy a deputy, like a person, like a lawyer or an accountant, or all the people that have like a name, like a title, and a specialized nature in which they operate and what they've agreed to operate in. And then you deploy them to take care of that task. And then if you have an overview, like a top-down overview, like a CEO of everything going on in your organization, you can make it to where there's no holes in your system because there's like a chain of how things are connected. Does that make sense to everybody? And so when it comes to developing a product suite, which is what we're talking about, the foundation of right now is what solutions we solve or how we solve problems for profit. All right. So what solutions do you carry? When you have an aligned heart about the solutions that you carry and the clear thoughts that you have about them, then you can look at the principal choices, which are the implementation process, which create constructive patterns, meaning like building blocks for that person to manifest that transformation in their life. Then you know the orderly outcome that you're producing. There is no way for you to fail, and there is no way for your client to fail. And I know this because I started out in network marketing and I had to duplicate my skill sets into a new person. So I have a way that every person on my team could come in and duplicate my success and earn a car in my network marketing company that I started with 10 years ago. This was, 10 years ago. And for the 4 years that I was in that company, I was busting out 12K team leaders, meaning $12,000 of sales a month, earning cars, because I had a way that I launched those people. I had a way that I built their personal brand. I had a way that I exposed them to an audience. I had a way that I launched to build their daily income producing activities and their method of operation. And they had their 60 minutes of power that they were operating, and they knew how to run a 90-day power play with these 90 skills that I'm teaching you guys. And we evolved it to where it works in all environments. And so because of this orderly outcome, I have reached the pinnacle of leadership because I know how to duplicate myself into another person. Okay. And it doesn't have to be your whole self. Okay. So remember that house we were talking about at the beginning of the call. You have a house in the mind of someone or a house in the heart of someone. Hopefully we got one in each, right? The mansion of their mind. And it's up to you how you decorate that room. And so you could insert them an operating system that every time that they walk in that room, they know how to tie their shoes or they have lamp. Spencer, I'm still looking at this open cupboard. They know how to close a cupboard. Okay. But this is what I want you guys to understand. It's not mysticism, it's law. The mirror didn't shatter. The distortions in it were just burnt away. And by a truth, I couldn't ignore anymore. Okay. So you need to be the truth that people can't ignore. And that's why they pay you attention, because when they pay you attention, they get revealed more of themselves. And I'm going to tell you another hard truth that's also liberating is that people don't love you. They love how much of themselves that they can be in your presence. And so when you share values, there's more of them that can express instead of an illogical belief about a person, right? And they're operating in an illusion about what you are. Instead, there's collaborative efforts across all fronts because of
Really choppy.
values that are shared. All right, we're almost done. Forgive me for the Wi-Fi again. So I wasn't losing my reflection. I was seeing myself clearly for the first time. And I love the analogy of the gold, like when the bowl breaks and they fill in the cracks with gold. Because that's what we're going to be doing for people. It's like we break people out of their current reality and we're helping them build their house on a rock. the house is built on a rock that can withstand any storm because it's built on the truth. And a belief can be shattered by a single fact, but that which has true worth endures. The fire only proves its substance. All right, guys. And so the inner order is not merely for your own peace. It is the very foundation from which you can bring order to your world, not through force, but through clear understanding of how things truly work and knowing how to work with those tools. So our goal is not belief system. Our goal is a setting of our mind to agree on truth, and then having tools and skills, which we're going to be going through tools and skills during this training, so that we have a process in which we can establish our value and restore our rightful place in our authority. Because we're not operating from a belief system that can be blown away by wind. We are operating in truth. It's undeniable what it is, because it has its own nature, it has its own principle. Wow. See, look, my son started his dough at the beginning of this call, and look, he can produce a focaccia bread on the stove because he knows how dough works, right? So that's the Crucible of Truth. I'm Megan Monroe. I'm your wealth coach. This is Luxury Branding Academy, Luxury Branding Operating System, 90 days skill training. And I want to go ahead and open the floor to feedback and communication, questions or insights you guys want to share. But welcome to class. Open mic. Anybody's welcome to speak. Or type. I'll read for you. You want pizza? Yeah. Brothers gonna help you.
I can, I can, I can share really quickly. I'm driving,
That's fine.
so I'm on the road if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Nish.
But yeah, just wanted to share. It's really nice class, Megan. I really appreciate it. You know me from before, but I already have ideas on how to implement this. And I want to do one project with it. I'm planning to move to Savannah, hopefully next month, and get this project started. Trying to open a center, and I'm gonna try to start implementing things for the center with these tools for the marketing and everything that you showed in class here. And like he's told me, like he told us, put God first. So I'm gonna try to do that from that perspective. But also, I know my mind. I know I'm going to think of other ideas as well. So I want to make a blueprint of how I want to go ahead and implement this for marketing online, and you know, then we'll go from there. Right now, I have one idea because one thing's on my mind, but then later on, I'll think of other ideas for marketing and stuff, and I will go ahead and implement those. And what I would like to do is through the building the through what you have showed, and then leveraging that community for the projects that they would like to do, waterfall method of
Yeah.
let me perfect it for a community setting, and then build a legal structure that those who would like to partner would like to continue this method forward. That's what I'm thinking right now. I just wanted to share it because I trust you, I have faith in you, and that's why I'm here. Back.
So good. I love to hear that it's already taken shape in your mind. So the only thing I'm going to challenge you with is to write down what you have the revelation about. And that's going to help you navigate what it is that this is calling from you, because this is me bringing truth forward, right? And so whatever resonates with this revelation that I just shared with you, that's your source or your spirit telling you, hey, this is what we can do to respond to this frequency. And so that goes for everybody on this call. What was prompted in you, I want you to take the time to write that out this evening. Okay. And tomorrow I'm going to show you what to do with it. Can you guys hear me, and is everything good to go? Can you still hear me? Yeah, because it's saying online.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. Is there anybody else that wants to share?
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. I'd love to hear from anyone else that feels
Yes,
the need to
I
share.
will share. For me, I have an idea. Can you hear me? One
Yeah.
moment, Kalia.
Yeah, I can hear you, Raphael. Raphael.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm not sure if you're frozen or.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have an idea in mind that I think I'm going towards like recordings of my first um some like pre-recordings, probably meditations or something. Um yeah, I have a lot of ideas, but um this gave me a little clarity. So I'm gonna write them down today.
That's so good. So with the meditation, it's about where you're the journey that you're taking somebody on from where they're at in that current state when they encounter your recording until the end of it, where you're where, you know, they're where they want to be and you're taking them where they need to be in order to continue that revelation process that I was talking about. Right. And so you can use the worth, value, values, virtues system to kind of help you pull that out. And then the other aspect of it is the truth, revelation, conviction, change, which we're going to go into this stuff more throughout the week, throughout the next 10 days as we're going through our branding and developing this out. But I want you guys to write down what products you can think of or what you're feeling like developing from this. And I know that it's harder to sit with what I'm sharing with you and like not let it be diluted because it's kind of intense to like reorder our brain. But I want you guys to understand that this is the way that when you have a product that you're developing from this point and then you take it to market, it's not about going viral in the algorithm, and it's literally like people are flying to you to learn how to express more of themselves. It's absolutely phenomenal and it feels great as a leader, as somebody who's sharing a product. And so when it comes to the meditations, there's so many layers and ways that we can work with that concept and that idea. And what I want you to remember is what I said is it's about taking them from where they're at to where they want to be and aligning where they're at to where you meet them with your delivery method of your good news or your good transformation or whatever. So where you meet them at where they're at to where they're going, where they want to be, and where you need them to get to the next revelation. Does that make sense?
You're breaking up a lot.
Oh no. Well, I hopefully that is stored in the recording properly. Am I breaking up right now?
I'm sorry, did you say something in the end? You were breaking up. I just heard that.
Yeah, I don't know why it's breaking up super bad. Can you guys hear me right now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. What I was sharing is that it's about meeting them where they're at with a delivery method that lets them know that you understand them and that you are aware of them so that they can learn to know, like, and trust you. And then we're taking them from where they are at to where they want to be. Okay. And where they want to be, you need to align that with where they need to be in order to come to the next revelation that you want them to have so that they can continue to evolve on their journey. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know for me, what my gift, like, I used to think I was a healer, but it's more so helping people remember, or more so like their own rhythm, I would say. Um, so that's kind of like what I'm looking to do. But yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So identifying your process on how you do that so that you can carry them to that revelation of themselves is kind of what I'm referring to. So perfect. I love to hear. And I think the recordings are an awesome thing to bring people through. And I have a lot of ways that we can develop a product suite and a product system around that concept. So I love that. Is there anyone else that wants to share any revelation that they may have had before we get out of here? Sorry, I accidentally muted.
Yes, I just have to kind of decide what I need to start on first. I have a journal that's ready to be sold, and I also have an idea for some products to be sold online. So I've got to gauge where to start first and how to make it all wrap, not necessarily wrap together, but stand on its own.
Is it more like like physical products and digital products? or are they all physical, or are they all digital products? Sorry.
The journal, I haven't decided. It's written. I think it would probably best be a digital product, and then the physical products would just be a line that I put with Luxury by Lauren, and put luxury products for the bathroom, for the kitchen, or the home. I haven't decided. That's the newest thing I thought about, but I haven't gotten a lot of details on. So one is actually a journal that I think.
I lost you and I see you muted
Oh.
on accident. I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I said the journal can actually be physical or digital. The products will probably mostly be physical. And I've just got to write down where my spirit is leading on what to move on first, and how to put it out there.
I love it. I think that a physical journal is something that, like, I'm 31 in my generation and I still like to write with pen and paper. And then the concept of like the products inside of the house. So what you're doing is you're creating or curating a lifestyle brand, and all of those products kind of come under or fall under that umbrella. And we can talk about what this looks like more in depth. But is the journal, does it have a specific purpose that it's formulated for, or is it more just like a
The first one is about wisdom.
Mhm.
So it's on wisdom, and I want to write two more, but I have the wisdom one completed. I just haven't moved forward.
Okay, that's phenomenal. So what we would do for your community is we would go through the process of calling out to different types of people, like different archetypes of people, and we would challenge them to have specific revelations with you through the wisdoms that you're sharing in your book, right? And in that process, there's going to be convictions that pop up for them to reflect on. And that's what's going to, you could meet them with wisdom to shift that reality. And that's where you could do higher level products, or you could do, some sort of course for one-on-one implementation, or not one-on-one implementation, but like self-guided implementation alongside the journal. So you have a higher costing product. There's so many ways that we can take that, especially if you've already authored those journals. And then the other aspect of it is like the physical products that you're talking about. Those could be implemented into the system of what it looks like to enact that journal. This is what I get, guys, after class. This is my reward.
That looks yummy.
He did
I
that.
really like that.
Hi, that looked good.
Yeah, that looks amazing. I'm excited. And your
So I
guys'
really-
ideas. Sorry, Nahesh, what was that?
Oh, I'll mute up.
Okay. So yeah, that's tonight, guys. Welcome to day one. And tomorrow we're gonna meet at the same time. So it's 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we're gonna get to work. But your job tonight is reflect on the things that were pulled out of you. And I'm gonna be getting the recording uploaded, and then I will send you this class. Okay. So thank you. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you got value out of anything, the only thing I really, really like is if you ever feel like
You're
posting.
breaking up a lot.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and end class, and it was super good to see you guys tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, okay?